Look at this scatter plot tracking defensive efficiency across the NFL last season. That massive outlier at the very top is the 2025 Houston Texans. By expected points added, or EPA per play, they were a historic unit that actively erased opposing offenses. The engine of that dominance was a relentless front seven that produced 27 sacks from the edge rushers alone. With Will Anderson Jr. collapsing pockets immediately off the snap, quarterbacks rarely had time to process their first read before taking a hit. And when quarterbacks did manage to get the ball out, they threw into a void. Cornerbacks like Derek Stingley Jr. blanketed wide receivers, creating a lockdown secondary that practically eliminated the deep passing game. This was a unit that scored 4 defensive touchdowns and suffocated opponents for an entire season. So how does a team with a defense this dominant suffer 3 consecutive early playoff exits? The reality in Houston has been a frustrating cycle. 3 straight years of high expectations, wildcard wins, and ultimately divisional round heartbreak. This comparative chart reveals a massive structural imbalance. On one side, you have that elite number 1 ranked defense. On the other, an offense that ranked 23rd in the league, a unit that effectively canceled out the defensive dominance. The collapse started in the trenches. The offensive line simply could not protect C.J. Stroud. Instead of stepping into clean pockets, Stroud spent his 3rd season constantly scrambling to survive, getting swallowed up for 54 sacks in a single season. To make matters worse, the ground game was virtually non-existent, ranking 29th in rushing efficiency. When you cannot run the ball on early downs, you are forced into predictable dropbacks on 3rd and long. Defenses pin their ears back and the pressure multiplies. A shutdown defense can keep a game close, but it cannot win a Super Bowl if the offensive line breaks the team's ability to sustain a single drive. General Manager Nick Caserio looked at this imbalance and recognized that minor adjustments were useless. Over the 2026 offseason, he traded away established starters and burned the entire offensive line to the ground to start over. The anchor of this rebuild was 3-time Pro Bowl guard Wyatt Teller. Caserio brought him in to establish an immovable presence on the interior and dictate a totally new physical identity for the line. He immediately followed that by signing veteran Braden Smith to lock down the right tackle position. This secured the edge against outside pass rushers, ensuring the pocket wouldn't immediately collapse from the perimeter. With a new line in place, Caserio traded for running back David Montgomery. Montgomery's bruising, downhill style is built to exploit the gaps that players like Teller create, fixing that broken run game directly. By shifting from a finesse approach to a physical rushing attack, opponents now have to stack the box to stop the run. When defenses commit to the run, the pass rush slows down, finally buying C.J. Stroud the critical time to operate. These play-action designs use the run threat to manipulate defenders, clearing the middle of the field. Linebackers stay shallow, so Stroud doesn't have to play hero ball. The scheme creates separation naturally, removing the need to force risky throws into tight coverage. Crucially, Caserio didn't ignore the defense while fixing the offense. The front office secured high-level veteran depth, extending veteran linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair to ensure the front seven maintained its generational output. In a single offseason, the front office systematically repaired the specific statistical bottleneck holding them back, without taking a single step back on defense. The AFC playoffs operate like a meat grinder. It is an unforgiving environment where only the most complete, veteran-fortified rosters survive a deep run. When we audit the competition, cracks start to show. The Baltimore Ravens are transitioning under a first-year head coach and have struggled to replicate Houston's balanced depth across both the offensive and defensive trenches. The Kansas City Chiefs remain the standard, but their immediate future rests entirely on Patrick Mahomes, successfully returning from a significant injury, a variable that introduces massive volatility into their title defense. Fringe contenders like the Chargers and Broncos still rely on unproven units that haven't demonstrated they can execute consistently during the cold January in Kansas City or Baltimore. Scan the entire conference. No other team features a top-ranked defense paired with an offensive line where every single starter is an established veteran or Pro Bowler. Houston has moved past the phase of relying on potential. By replacing every underperforming 2024 starter on the line with proven veterans, they have become a fully realized, fortified machine. Equipped with a top 10 rushing attack and the clean pockets he lacked last year, C.J. Stroud is now positioned to execute at an MVP level without having to scramble for his life. Houston isolated the exact structural bottleneck destroying their playoff runs, and rebuilt it with elite talent. That comprehensive overhaul makes the Texans the favorites to represent the AFC in